the school with the teachers and students in the classroom?
Varies. When I first came to Sweden, not so much because I didn't really know anyone, but I have worked with teachers in the fact that I go and interview them and ask them about my project, which is foundational number sense. It's something that Sweden education in mathematics is very concerned about developing in young children, and it seemed the obvious thing to go and talk to teachers about. I go into schools to talk to teachers, and obviously you talk to children because that's the nature of the business, but also, of course, teachers coming out, and then I get invited in because they want to show me something or ask me things about what's happening. But so I think I really, at the moment, it's still sort of on the top level. For many years I worked going into schools every term, working with pre-service teachers as well as practicing teachers, but my work is now more in research than it is in teacher education, so it's kind of a mixed up difference.
Okay. How do you use your results from your research?
As well as I can to make the story clear. When you write research projects up, there's always much more to say than you are able to say in the number of words. So you have to prioritize things, and sometimes let's say you do a project and there are 3 findings, 2 which you expected but 1 you didn't, when you do exploratory research. So that could be 3 papers, and so you'd only focus on 1 of them at a time, because there's a whole world of catalogue of research behind in the field related to it. And what you want to do is to try to tell the story about what's happened in these naturalistic settings and the impact it can have on teaching and learning. So it's an important job to do to make it clear to the reader what the research is about and but implications for the future. So if I found this in here, could this relate to other classrooms in the same way? It's a question. Then we need to do more research on this because it was, let's say, covered. It was not clear, or
you have to study it more.
Yes, we have to study it more because it's hidden. Often when curriculum changes or teachers use different books, say textbooks, which they like to use a lot in Sweden, sometimes they miss what's missing because they're focused on what's there rather than what's missing.
Yes.
And so things get hidden, and it's not until children come to do tests at the end of the summative assessment period that you see where the gaps are, and then you have to find out, well, why is that the case? And then you have to go back, which takes a long time, but very important. So,
thank you. Which research articles you published, and which one of them you thinking this is my lovely, the best I did?
Did you say which or how many?
How many research articles? I read some of you in my special needs education with Ingmar and in Kristianstad. But I want to know another researchers which are published in science magazines and science.
Well, I have too many to say offhand because there are many. But my research is, if you like, it's three-pronged. I've done research, my first research really, other than my own classroom, was on algebra, early algebra. So I've always been interested in early mathematics. So that's one side, early mathematics. But then when I became a researcher part-time, when I was a lecturer, I worked in a European study, and we looked at the teaching, what do you call it, the traditions in different countries, 5 different countries. And what was interesting then was it was England, Spain, Belgium, Flemish Belgium, Finland, and Hungary. Now, if we take the TIMSS results, the international results on mathematics, not the PISA, I'm not interested in them, but in...
Third international...
yes, it's now the trends, Finland came out on top a lot, but now that's... But we, because we'd looked in them before all of this became, everyone's going to Finland, look at how good this is. Then, because I'd been there and I'd seen what's happened in the classrooms and studied the lessons, I could see that there was a curtain over it. It wasn't the real story, because the real story is lots of parents teach their children at home through their homework, and their homework is a big thing. So I knew it wasn't, the answers weren't there in their classroom. Then you look at places like Hungary. Hungary has a great tradition of mathematics. Mathematicians worldwide who have changed the face of mathematics, but it's a very strong and very well conceived by everybody in Hungary. They value mathematics. So the teaching there was very different, very good most of the time. But unfortunately that slipped as well, because the changes in policy and the changes of politics have meant that the old traditions, a lot of them have just been, shut away.
Yes, I understand.
But the last one, so I'm interested in early mathematics, comparative education, and it's basically the teaching and learning, but specifically there's algebra, but it's actually arithmetic, I guess. That I enjoy doing the most is the one I'm doing at the time. But if I look at what I'm doing at the time, I'm working on FONS, foundational number sense, but I'm also looking at the beliefs and attitudes of pre-service teachers at the same time. That's just something I'm doing. I have no money to do it, but I'm just interested. I'm looking at early mathematics in a more general perspective. So I'm collecting data all the time. I have 5 projects on at the moment. One is funded, the rest are all my interests. Because I have all these questions.
I understand.
So, it's just whatever is happening at the time, I guess.
And you are interesting all of them, the 5
Absolutely.
of them?
Well, they're all, for me, they cover the 3 strands of comparative, early mathematics, and beliefs and attitudes towards mathematics. So they all integrate, but they're all very separate, but they all come together at some point or another. So as far as I'm concerned, they're 5 projects on the same thing. It's the learning and the teaching of mathematics. So